Happy holidays, happy holidays. The merry bells are ringing. Happy holidays to you. We'll just start off the bat with some singing because it is the holidays. I couldn't get my webcam to work. So, yeah, happy holidays. We should just all sing happy holidays. They changed something in the webcam, and I was trying to do there's probably 3 different live streams started. I should probably check and make sure this is the only live stream going. I'm going to check that right now because I've started this 3 times. And it kept taking me over to this, you have to have your own streaming service to do it. Let me just look and make sure there aren't any other streams showing up because that was a little bit of a mess. Yep. Okay. I see this one. I see 3 streams. Okay. Let me delete these 2. I think that one is the one that's going. So if I delete us and it ends up being we shut down, hold the line and I will come back. Delete forever. Okay. I don't know, but we have 3 live streams being scheduled to start. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. But hopefully nobody else is over there and everybody is over here. How are you all? If you are in the United States, I hope you're having still a lovely Thanksgiving weekend, that you are not too stuffed or feeling comatose from turkey and stuffing and leftovers and all of those wonderful things. Everybody coming on, hello, hello, hello. It is lovely to see you on this weekend. I'm assuming there are lots of people out of town, which is kind of a common thing in the U.S. for people to go home for the holiday. I'm sure everywhere, but just not everywhere celebrates Thanksgiving this time of the year. Canada celebrates Thanksgiving, but it's not the same date. So anyways, for those of us still holiday spiriting, I hope we're having a lovely weekend. I know a lot of countries seem to be doing the Black Friday, despite not celebrating Thanksgiving, which I find humorous. Jumping on the Black Friday sales minus the Thanksgiving part. But that in some ways seems a little more honest than a day of thankfulness and then Black Friday shopping. So, it's all the same. My family goes Black Friday shopping. Well, now it's Thursday night. So after Thanksgiving, we pull out all the ads and we go through our Christmas lists. And my nieces and my sisters and my daughter and I all go shopping that night. So that's a lot of fun. And that's done. And then I tend to try not to go near any of the stores the rest of the weekend because it just gets crazy. But anyways, so that's where we are today. Miss Nikki is in the house, and apparently Miss Biffy Rose, if I'm reading that correctly, is making her first chat. Welcome to anybody else whose first chat is and they haven't typed anything. Welcome to the chaos that is live chat. We do try to attempt to have some formality in the first hour of a topic, and because of course we're walking into the seasons, right? For those of us in the US, we are in the midst of holiday Thanksgiving weekend, and of course, rolling from here rolls us ever towards the Christmas holiday. So I thought, I didn't really have a good topic in mind, and so I thought, let's talk about holidays and what holidays you celebrate. If you celebrate any at all, have you ditched all commercial holidays, which I know some people have? Do you follow the wheel of the year and the holidays that are the festivals and holidays that are connected with the wheel of the year? Do you have any cool special holidays in your country that you would like to share? Because I think that's also really amazing. In the US, I would say that the main holidays are Thanksgiving and Christmas, definitely Easter. Definitely the 4th of July is a big holiday. We have lots of little ones, but St. Patrick's Day in my area, which is very Irish immigrant area, is also a pretty big day, or AKA excuse for. Thank you, Miss Nikki. Yes, my mini decks are in pre-order. Thank you, Miss Nikki. You are better at this than I am. I don't even think about it. So thank you. Anyway, St. Patrick's Day is pretty much an excuse to drink from dawn until dusk, but still an important one. For me, holidays are super important. And I know psychologically why, as I've said, and I'm not going to go into it in depth because I've said it a million times. I do have, I was in 5th grade when my parents were saved into a fundamental religion. And so after 5th grade, or in 5th grade, so it must have been 4th grade going into 5th grade. I'm not entirely sure on the dates, but I know that I entered into 5th grade not wearing pants. All holidays except for Thanksgiving were gone. No movies, no music, things like that. Everything at one big swoop. So I have memories of holidays because I was a little bit older. My youngest siblings didn't ever celebrate anything but Thanksgiving. I do have memories of celebrating Christmas. I have memories of Halloween and memories, of course, of Thanksgiving and things like that. But it was all cut at going into 5th grade. And that's pretty traumatic. I don't really remember. I remember that 5th, that just being like a horrible, the only thing I really remember about 5th grade is I just remember walking. I never wore a dress in my life up until then. I was a big tomboy. And so I remember going into class with a skirt, and I remember being horrified by that. That's what really sticks into my head, was I was horrified to have to be wearing a dress. And I had a lot of boyfriends, not boyfriends, but boys who were friends. And I was just horrified that they were going to think I was like girly girl and not, ready to go play on our big wheels and superheroes and things that we normally played. And that sticks in my mind more than the holidays were. But I know that had to have been really traumatic for a child to say no more holidays. And so holidays became when I got left, grew up, not really. I was young when I got married, but when I graduated high school, got married and had children of my own, holidays became like big deals, right? Big deal, like with the capital, all capitals and exclamation points. And of course, with my son having a illness in which, we were told over and over again, he's not going to live. Holidays become big, big, big deals, right? So you go from capitals to like glowing signs of big deals. And so, holidays are these days. The way that I think about holidays is you have these one day, right? This one special day. And every year, all of these people are putting all of this energy and focus and hopes and dreams and sadness and despair, like all of those strong emotions just get plugged into this day over and over and over and over, and years and years and years and years. And it just becomes soaked with emotions and power and things of that nature. So I do find holidays to be very powerful. And I enjoy that. And I do think, yes, we can also talk about commercialization of holidays. Have holidays been commercialized? Of course they have. If there's a way to make money on something, we're going to make money on something. But I do think we can choose to take the holidays that are important to us and reclaim them and do as we want to do with them and enjoy them for what they are to us. So I do think we can reclaim them should we choose, and maybe mindfully choosing the ones that are really important to us. So that's like what I would think of as like the big sort of mass public holidays, right? But then in the community that we're all in, which is very often made up of a mix of different types of alternative belief systems, pagan, I think, is a term you can use as an umbrella, but it's a really big word, right? So Christian is a big word. It's very dangerous to say, I don't like how Christians do X, Y, Z. Well, there's lots of kinds of Christians, lots of kinds: Jehovah's Witnesses, Baptists, Southern Baptists, Catholics, Episcopals, Greek Orthodox, Lutherans. I am, missing out on a ton of them. There are a ton of different sects or types of Christianity. Pagan, from my understanding, is just a word that pretty much means everything not of the Abrahamic faith, which would be all the Christian, Jewish, Muslim, those that come out of the Abrahamic faith are kind of here, and pagans are over here, which kind of means, or heathens, that's actually a word you could use, just means everything that's outside of those. So that's a big umbrella of things that could be underneath that. But in our, this circle that we're in, a lot of people do follow the wheel of the year. Not everybody does. It is not a requirement, and there are many, many different types of pagans that don't have anything to do with the wheel of the year. I would say that it's a very European concept that got made more popular with Wicca. So Wicca is a religion that does, I think, really brought into light or pulled together these 8 festivals or holidays that people that are Wiccans, but also people who are not Wiccans do follow. I don't follow the festivals. I don't know why I did that, because they are festivals. I was going to say holidays, because I would say they're festivals probably more than they are holidays, but we're going to call them holidays. I use this for Wheel of the Year Ahead readings. So this is a Wheel of the Year, my friend Patrick's. This is not this year's. Sorry, this year's is over there. But anyways, it is okay. This works. So this is the year that's set up for next year. And so astrologically, we have the solstices are across from each other, right? So this is the winter solstice. This is the summer solstice. The equinoxes are across from each other. So this is the spring equinox across from the across from the fall equinox. And then you have the cross quarters that are in between. And so for many pagans, definitely Wiccans, but many pagans, there are festivals on each of these. So Yule would be on the winter solstice, right? Samhain would be on the cross quarter of the fall cross quarter. So there are varying lithas on there. All of the festivals can be associated with each one of these things. So I just follow it astrologically. So I do follow each of the cross quarters and the times of the year for the seasons, but I don't. I did for a long time try to get into the different festivals, but for me, I just kind of go with what's going on in my area in that season, and it's just what works for me. So the dates are pretty similar. So, for example, when you were to look at the let me find it here because I'm backwards. Here's the fall, and here is the fall cross quarter. Well, a lot of people, of course, celebrate Samhain, which is actually the end of October and the 1st of November. November 7th is the actual cross quarter of fall. And so I do a lot of things on that date, but I don't really do festivals. If that, that's a very brief way to explain it, because I had that sitting right there. And so so that's what I do. I do follow all of the each points of the seasons, but I don't celebrate all of the different festivals that are there. Um, and yeah, so Anna brings up a good point that this is very much the wheel of the year would have certainly a lot of the festivals would have come out of the northern hemisphere, and so those who are in the southern hemisphere, it's all upside down. So when all of us are saying yay, it's fall, those in the southern hemisphere are being like, yeah, it's spring, right? Would it be spring? No, I gotta, yeah. So that now it's like, yeah, it's spring cross quarter, right? And so if you were celebrating Yule in the winter solstice, they're celebrating, of course, the summer solstice. So it's the opposite. And then they're also part of the problem is that, of course, these festivals are meant for a particular climate, right? Yes, this doesn't really matter which way you are because you would just turn it upside down, or I think you can probably get them either way. That you'll have to look on his website. That is thelivingwheel.com. You don't have to get it. This is a board because I like the board, but you can just get a paper version of it. But you can get a board version. I just like to show this when I'm doing Wheel of the Years spreads for people. Isabel's always on duty. Isabel's always on duty. Anyways, bringing it back in. So a lot of people that would be under the pagan umbrella follow these festivals. It can be a little bit different if, let's say, you live in Florida in the United States, or you live in South America or something like that. I guess that would put you anyways. And let's say even if you live in a northern country or state, you could be celebrating, the coldness of winter, but in your area, it's not cold, right? It's very hot. And so, you don't really maybe celebrate with the themes of those particular festivals because it doesn't, it reflects Europe, right? It reflects Europe. It does for me because I live in a place with 4 seasons and it follows the same seasons. But for some people, we're celebrating the cleanness, coolness of Yule, Claire, and we're talking about clarity and calmness and quiet and reflection. And you're someplace where it's super hot and muggy and it doesn't feel at all like those keywords work. Of course, there's things that you can do about that, such as, taking those particular quarter points, which is, everybody has a winter solstice, everybody has a summer solstice, everybody has a spring equinox and a fall equinox, and everybody has cross quarters. But maybe how you celebrate that reflects more what your world looks like around you versus worrying about specific festivals. So that's kind of what I do, is just take the dates and then what's going on in my world and what does that look like to me? Now, for me, a lot of times that does align with the festivals just because of where I live. But those are also holidays and festivals that some people in our community follow quite closely. So yeah, people are talking about, Nina says Christmas in Southern California is always particularly comical with all the standard decorations, but then there's palm trees and warm weather. It is funny how, you think about these climates, and of course, Christmas has been so loaded with this idea of snow and sleighs and reindeers and warm cups of cocoa and all of those kinds of things. But if you live in a place where there's palm trees, it can feel a little bit funny to be celebrating those things. But I'm one of those people let's not ditch Christmas and cocoa and all that. I just finished watching. I started watching it last night. There is on Netflix called Claus, a cartoon movie called Claus, and I started it last night, but I couldn't stay awake, and I finished it this morning, and I cried like 3 or 4 times. Christmas is a killer for me. And I just kind of sometimes just lean into it and watch the things that I know are going to make me cry. I wasn't sure if I would like that particular one, but I did really, really like it a lot. But it must be weird, right? When Christmas is beach time, as Anna is saying, it's not really feeling all that North Pole or cocoa or peppermint sticks or things like that aren't quite feeling the atmosphere, as Nina's saying, isn't quite the same. But at the same time, you've got kids, everybody's excited about Christmas. You do have to kind of figure out a way to make it work, or to do something, different, obviously entirely different for you. See if Bart's going to weigh in. Oh, no, he's talking about my thing not working. It's working now. So what's is everybody's favorite holiday the standard like Christmas? I would say if I were to pick an absolute favorite holiday, Christmas is my most complicated. It's probably one of my favorites, but it's also one of my hardest. Since my son's death, that's kind of really mixed things. So, and I think all holidays tend to have that, because again, you've got so much hopes and expectations, and then when your life doesn't meet those expectations, it can be so depressing. If all of the commercials and all of the things that are going on and about the world is showing Christmas with all of these families together and celebrating and happy, and you come from a really crappy family situation, that can be really depressing because you have this like ideal out there being shown, and your life doesn't match what that ideal is, which can be very disjointing and depressing. And so, I think that the holidays are complicated, but I would say if I had to pick one as my favorite, it would probably still be Christmas, followed by the fall cross quarter. I celebrate from Samhain through to the 7th, which is the actual cross quarter. Those are probably my two favorites and most focused in terms of holidays. Pagan, yes. Yule would be the winter cross quarter. Yes. So there would be a little bit different dates. So Christmas is obviously December 25th. We have Yule is actually, or the winter cross quarter, or the winter solstice, sorry, is actually on the 21st of December. Halloween for Phoenix Rising, you get to dress up and party. You could say that you can chat, or you can dress up on Yule too. What about all the ugly sweater contests and things like that, or dressing up like Santa or the elves and wearing hats and going Christmas caroling? I do love all of the kitsch of holidays. I enjoy it. I think it's okay to do both, right? So I do things on Yule. And I don't call it Yule, but it's the winter solstice. I do things on the winter solstice. That's the beginning of my year. I do my year ahead spread pull. I do my wheel of the year pull on the winter solstice. I do like to do things like light the fire or have some apartment version of a Yule type log or lighting of something. And I do a lot of journaling and things like that and setting my year out. So the winter solstice is really important to me. But I also enjoy Christmas. And I love the kitsch of Christmas. I love Christmas caroling. I love sleigh bells ringing and Santa hats and the stories of Santa and all of that kind of stuff. I love it. I love all of it. And yeah, I enjoy that, but they're two separate things for me, which is kind of funny. I'm going to scroll. Halloween and New Year's are Nina's favorite. I've never been a big fan of New Year's. I have more so since I started, a few years ago when I really just started observing the winter solstice. That's been something that I've paid more attention to. I've enjoyed it more. The actual New Year's Eve's never been a huge deal for me. Let's see, we have Halloween. A lot of people with Halloween, I think. New York City still works sometimes. Longest night of the year, the Holly King and Oak King mythology. Yes, all of that. I think they're talking about the Yule differences, maybe of Yule. I love Good Friday, which is weird, says Tarot Student, because I don't believe in the resurrection. I just love the quietness of the day. Well, a lot of the Christian holidays were overlapped onto pre-Christian holidays and festivals, right? One of the things that the Catholic Church was particularly good at, although I don't know that good would be, they were efficient at coming into areas and taking on whatever festivals or even gods and goddesses and turning them into saints and turning them into Christian holidays. So I think that even though there are a lot of Christianized and then changed from the Christianized to commercialized holidays, I think the times of the year of them are still really important and really resonate with a lot of people because they've been around. They are power days for a reason. I'm so sorry, I'm not going to say a name because I'm going to get it wrong. But as somebody was saying, the idea of the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere being the longest night of the year makes sense why people would have a celebration or have a festival there, right? So it would make sense. Or in the spring when things are coming to life again, of course, you're going to have a festival about that. Or in the fall when you're reaping in the harvest, whenever that harvest might be for your country, there's probably some degree of a holiday or a festival there because we move with the seasons and there becomes significant to certain seasons and certain, because we're celebrating something about it. It's the end of the long night of winter, or it's the beginning of bringing in the harvest and all those things that mean something. So while we may have lost touch with some of those things, the energy is still there around those times of the year. And so we see festivals across different cultures that are similar in the sense that they're following those cycles of seasons. Nikki says, I have pretended that Christmas was an ordinary day for several years. No tree, no decor, no. Oh, Nikki, that hurts my soul. That hurts my soul. No Christmas songs. Well, I know you've sung Christmas songs with us, so I am okay because I feel like you've at least experienced the winter solstice energy with us. Nikki, this is the year 5 years is going. Oh, she's putting up the Christmas. I do love Christmas trees, even though they are painful for me. And I really do want to stress how I know that this time of year is so difficult for many, many people. Holidays can be so painful, right? If you haven't had a good experience at holidays, if you have really complicated family dynamics, if you have lost somebody, holidays are painful. I think in December, I cry as much as I enjoy Christmas, for sure. I probably cry more, but I still love Christmas. I kind of thought, I've been thinking about that. I had a really hard time putting out my Christmas tree this year. And I put it up and I put part of it up, cried all day. And then but I was determined to put it up. And I had this conversation with myself. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, if it's this painful, why are you doing this? Some of it's complicated because I have a daughter and she loves Christmas. My daughter is a Christmas freak. She loves everything kitschy. She is going to be that old woman whose whole entire yard and house and inside of her house is a winter wonderland. That is going to be my daughter's house the older she gets. So she loves it. And I still want her to experience those things with me as well. And the fact of the matter is I love Christmas and I love the Christmas tree and I love the lights, but it's really hard when there's so much pain that can be surrounding that. So I really, in the talk of holidays, I definitely don't want to gloss over the fact that it is hard for a lot of people to deal with the holidays and all of the things that can bring up. But at the same time, it does have a really powerful ability to heal. I really liked this. I'm going to recommend, if you like Christmas movies and you have Netflix, watch the Claus one, because I really love how they did it. I don't want to give anything away, so I am not going to talk about it, but it does touch on those ideas of that there are loss that's involved in these holidays, and how do you go on to deal with these things, even despite the loss. So that it's really was a good, again, made me cry, but in the best kind of way. I have a fake tree. I definitely have a fake tree, Nikki, and I love my fake tree. I would probably I do remember getting a live tree as a child. And I always say to myself, this year maybe I'll get a live tree, but I used to say no because I kept mine up really long. I don't do it as long anymore. I usually put it up Thanksgiving night, and I put it down Christmas night. So I could probably do it now. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do something crazy like that and put my plastic one away for 1 year. I've always wanted one. And so maybe I'll just do it. There are some that think it's bad. It's all part of the joy. Get your plastic Christmas trees. Jamie says, I wasn't going to comment, but a former coworker, I'm so sorry to hear that. I feel such compassion. See, that is so hard for her 10 and 13-year-old children. Saw her exit coffee this morning. I am so sorry for their loss. It's rough. It's so rough, because I just know those children are, Christmas is going to be so bittersweet, probably mostly bitter this year, but for the rest of their lives, Christmas is going to have those difficult mixed emotions that are going to come into play, and it's really painful. I don't think that we can underplay the fact that it can be so difficult. I think it's important to remind people of suicide hotlines, remind people to reach out and talk to somebody if you're feeling really isolated. I think that it is rough. It can be really rough. And I think Christmas is one of those big ones, right? Because it is a big family holiday. And I get it all the time. I'll be home for Christmas and I just will start crying, like, well, he's not going to be home for Christmas, and just be a big puddle like in the middle of Barnes and Nobles. It really can't be stressed enough how difficult it can be. But at the same time, I absolutely love it, and I don't want to let it go either, because it does have also a lot of amazing memories. So, reach out. Yeah. If somebody has lost someone any time of the year, it doesn't matter. Christmas is going to bring it up. Definitely be gracious. And again, you don't have to, you can just, I'm here. If you need to talk, I'm here. That is a huge deal, because there's a lot of times when it's late at night, or it's just quiet, and it's just hard. And so knowing that person has kind of put themselves out there and said, if you want to talk about it, even if it's not happy stuff, if you want to cry about it, call me. That's a big deal. That is it's a big deal for that person, even if they never call you. The fact that you open that opportunity up for them, I know from personal experience, I know that it means a lot. Even if you never get that call, the offer can be really, really helpful. We were talking about gratitude last chat. Yes, we were. Gratitude is a large part of how I stay positive during the holiday. That's true, Nina. And it's hard, and that's one of those things, Nina, I think will agree. We can only figure that out for ourselves, right? Like, I would never say to somebody, well, I know that you're really sad this Christmas because so-and-so died, but, think about what you do have and have gratitude. It will make you feel better. I would never say that to somebody, right? I would never say that to somebody. And if somebody said it to me, like, you just, I know you're sad about your son dying, but can you just go find some gratitude? I would be really upset. But it's the truth, right? That's a truth that we have to come to on our own, that it does help to see what you do have, to counterbalance. It doesn't erase the loss and it doesn't erase the pain, but it does counterbalance it, which can be very helpful. Sorry, my throat has been really dry. Oh no, Terry. I keep looking in case Bart says something. Terry says her therapist. I don't understand. I don't even know how to unpack that sentence. That her therapist wanted me to start a gratitude journal after my husband died. I about threw up. No. I mean, again, it's not that those suggestions are wrong. It's that we have to come to them ourselves. We cannot be that just it's really nauseating to think of that. But I just know from personal experience what people the things that people say just are mind blowing sometimes. And that we have to come to those things that ourselves, even if they're truth. I guess that's the thing. There can be truths that we don't have to share with other people, that we don't have to impart to other people. And it doesn't mean that they're not true because they probably are truth, right? There is truth there, but it's not our job to impart that truth to other people. It's our job to simply be there for that person and allow them to find their truths when they're ready to find those truths. So yeah, sorry, Terry. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's see. That's really flamboyant clairvoyant said this is a time when expectation and reality often clash, and it clashes in a great big way in some ways. But does that mean though that we get rid of I think that it doesn't mean that we get rid of them. That's the thing is I think, does it mean we get rid of holidays? I don't think, for me, no. And again, I do know people that have stopped celebrating holidays after, bad things have happened or, they have really terrible family situation. And at some point they're like, no, I am done. I'm not going to subject myself, because that's the other end of the spectrum, right? It's not just about losing people. Some people have terrible family dynamics, and that going to holiday occasions are just painful and fight driven and anger driven and nastiness and just not a good situation to be in. So there's lots of different reasons why holidays can be really complicated, or just don't have family. What about some people that maybe just don't have a support system of family and friends, and the loneliness factor of holidays can be really painful. There's just a lot of reasons why these time of the year are difficult. But I do think there is, when that person wants to or feels ready to, I think there can be healing in finding ways to reclaim those days. Whether that means that you're just going to be at home quietly yourself and thinking about the longest night of the year and thinking about putting into place those things that help you, lighting a Yule log, doing some journaling, having some vodka. No, I'm not advocating the spiked hot cocoa if you're in the cold time of the year. It's just, there are ways, I think, to integrate holidays no matter what our experiences are, but that has to come from a place of when we're ready to do so. After an insensitive comments, I once asked someone if they'd ever experienced it, and she said no, and I said I could tell with a whole lot of side eye. And I just kind of laughed at people. It is true. I mean, that could be a whole nother topic, is the stupid things people say. We've talked about this before. When my son died, a lot of people said stupid things. The most repeated stupid thing for me was I kept hearing over and over again, at least you knew it was coming. At least as if that was supposed to make me feel better. That was said over and over and over again. And it was like, I don't even know how to talk to you about this. I generally, because I was in a state of shock, I would just walk away. Most of the time I just responded, no, I didn't. And no, it doesn't help. And then would turn around and walk away. But people say stupid things. We've had this conversation. I don't want to totally derail into it, but it's the truth. We could have an entire chat about the stupid things that people say. My advice is, and has always been, that one, yes, no, Jamie, Kelly, no. Anyways, my advice to people is always to just say, I'm sorry. I'm here if you need anything. That's all you have to do. Just say, I'm sorry. That's it. I'm sorry. If you need anything, I'm here. I'm sorry if there's anything, if you need to talk to me, I'm here. That's it. Just say, or if you can't even go that far, then just say I'm sorry. That's it. There's nothing else I think that needs to be said other than I'm sorry. That's my personal opinion. But anyways, and you'll get this more at the holidays, of course, because it brings up these things, especially if, like me, your child dies at the holiday times. Of course, people are all thinking about it at the holiday time, so it does get brought up again. But again, a whole nother topic. Yeah, we would have to do, somebody said we'd have to have a marathon on that. Anaconda says, in grief I lose all my chill. I will not hesitate to say what a stupid thing to say. And her excuse is that she may save somebody else from hearing it. I wish I was more like that. I tend to know, I think that you can tell the difference to when somebody just doesn't know what to say and they say something stupid and they probably know they're saying something stupid versus people who are just ridiculous and need to be called up on it. But anyways, we should write a collective book on the stupid things people have said. Yeah, exactly, Terry. It's just, I don't even get that. Like, yeah, again, we could, okay. Okay, back to the holidays. Hello on the cusp, Tara. We're talking about holiday. So I would like to hear from people that have what they would consider to be like unusual holidays, or have you created holidays? That's another thing that interests me, is those days in which we find to be important to us. And so, like, I have a friend who does a celebration of Life Day. In fact, it was yesterday. What is the date today? Or today? I think it might be today. I think it's the last day of November. Anyways, people, she had a really bad day. She had many years ago, she had attempted suicide on this day. And every year it would come up and it would just always be this like really hard, depressing day. And she ended up changing it over to celebrating life, that she was still alive. Again, this was after she'd done a lot of work. Nobody forced it on her. She made a choice at some point to say, you know what? I'm going to take this day back from what it was. And what it really is a celebration. I am still alive and I'm enjoying life and I'm growing and I'm healing. And so she has a holiday that she celebrates every year that she created because that's her way of reclaiming that particular day. And it's become a full-on holiday for her, where she celebrates something about life every year and has taken that day to create something wonderful. So that I think is another amazing thing that you can do. Again, I don't think anybody can say, do this. Okay, well, you've had a bad day. I know, turn it into a holiday. Again, that, we shouldn't directly advise people to do things until they're ready. But I do think that was really cool that she did that and thought, oh, I could see where people might do something like that. Al was thinking that this discussion took a real downturn, but it is yes, I agree, Al. I think that it's important because I do think holidays have that equal weight. There's so much energy on those days and so much expectation, as somebody said so well, and so much idealization of what it should be, and so much so that they're weighted. There's a weightedness to holidays because they're at these key points in the year. And so how can we choose to use that energy that we know is already there, but how can we prepare ourselves for it? How can we set ourselves up to use that energy maybe in a way that is helpful to us versus terrible or destructive to us. The human condition is complex. Joy, pain, growth, stagnation, intimacy, loneliness, a holiday scene. It magnifies it for sure, Nina. It's like a big like a bubble, and it just like a crystal ball. You hold something behind that crystal, and everything gets magnified and distorted, even because of all kinds of things. But we still love them, and we're still drawn to them, or we vehemently hate them. And of course, whenever you hate something, we're putting a lot of energy into that when we hate something. So there's still impact there, whether we love it or we hate it. Terry says, I would love to celebrate in bulk and etc., but I know no one else around here to celebrate with. Yeah, I definitely followed the Wheel of the Year festivals for a while. I didn't celebrate them, but I acknowledged them and tried to do something from each of them. I think it is a little bit harder to celebrate, so to speak, when you don't have somebody to celebrate with. But so that's why I started doing just the Wheel of the Year, actual astrological dates. And then, okay, well, what's going on around me? What does my world look like at this time? And what are some things that mean something to me? And some of them are taken from rituals. So if you think of lighting candles at Christmas time, because it's the longest night of the year, that's something you can do on the winter solstice to light up the sky. On Samhain, I put candles in the window for 24 hours because that's kind of calling home those that have passed to come and visit. Like, you can take things that resonate with you about that time of the year, or about festivals that are done at that time of the year, and figure out what really resonates with you and create something that works for yourself, right? Same. Sometimes this holidays, the pressure of it has to be perfect or fun and happy, and never is. Yeah, just let it be. That's the truth. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned about. And Halloween's just as bad. So is Thanksgiving. It's all rough, right? Those, for me, holiday, because they roll up on each other. So Halloween was my son's favorite holiday, and then Thanksgiving was my side of the family's Christmas. So it's as big as Christmas in my family. And then Christmas. And then, of course, at Thanksgiving is when I usually decorate my Christmas tree. 2 days after I decorated my Christmas tree, my son died. So it's all wrapped up in it, right? So those are really hard. Those are really hard holidays. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've particularly learned is that it can be both, right? You can be a mess and crying and feel the feels that you're feeling. And then even within the same night or the next day or the next week, I can decorate the Christmas tree with my daughter and enjoy it and have a lovely time with her, when the day before I was sitting on the floor, a mess because all of the lights weren't working on my Christmas tree, and I'm sitting there snipping the lights off and crying like a baby, right? You can feel both of the things. And I think that maybe that's what we have to, I think Nikki probably hit it on the head when she said part of the way forward through holidays, despite the difficulties, is in letting them be both. Like, they can be all of the above. We can enjoy the moments that are really powerful and full of joy and laughter and singing. We can also really enjoy the quiet moments of sitting by a Christmas tree with spiked cocoa in the late at night by yourself. Sometimes that is, I can have a really lovely day with a fake fire on my television screen. That's really wonderful aspects. And then sometimes it's a lot of crying, and that's part of Christmas too, right? That's part of the holidays too. And that it can be all of those things and still be Christmas, right? Or whatever holiday it might be. Yeah, it's hard. Navigation of life is just hard in general. And I don't think, while we can say this worked for me, or this worked for this person, or this might help, this might not help. In the end, we have to figure it out ourselves, right? In the end, you can do it, Al. Don't mock me. Don't mock me. Let me see what. Bart says, in a sense, I create all holidays, even those like Christmas, because home is the happiest time, but I fight for the holidays because I love celebrating them. Yes, even if that only means making a top 10 albums list, which I love, over the top decorating in the room. Maybe I can't have a picture perfect holiday now, but I will make the most of it. Yes. See, that's the thing. What is important to you about that holiday and rolling with it, right? But yes, I'm sorry, but you can have a fake fireplace. I love them on Netflix. If you have Netflix, there's a couple different ones that you could get the crackling. I don't have a fireplace. I had a fireplace for years. I'm in a little apartment that does not have a fireplace. I have a television and I put it on Netflix with the crackling logs, and it actually reduces, like the logs get smaller as they go. And I love it. I am going to stand up and say, I love Netflix fake Christmas fireplace. I do. I love it. Katie and I put it on for decorating the Christmas tree. We put it on Christmas morning. We are all for the kitsch of Christmas, and that's okay. Al says, I had LP gas fireplaces in my house in Connecticut, one in the kitchen. It was wonderful. Yeah. Yep. I know I had a fireplace for a wood fireplace. I've never had a gas one. If I had the space, there's no wall space in my apartment. If I had the wall space, I would probably get one of those little ones that are like the little heaters, and they're the gas ones for the flame, but I don't have it. And so I use a television and I love it. I love it. And I see I'm not the only one. Oh, even Crackle Fires on YouTube. Nikki says, why not? Yeah, that's what I say. Why not? Have fun. Yeah, one of the ones on Netflix does have Christmas music. I tend to play separate Christmas music, but I know they have one that has Christmas music playing while you do that. So, hashtag I do the fake rains in forest with bird songs YouTube as well. Even in the hottest of summer. Yeah, exactly. Hanaconda needs a TV one because the AC is running in her house right now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. Think about how a lot of places are so hot. So being able to have a fake fireplace TV might be just the thing to get them, close all the curtains, get some candles going, have your Christmas tree lit, put the air conditioning on so it's really cold, but then the crackling fire, snuggle up with blankets, and you'll think you're in the middle of the North Pole. Nikki says, I have I've not been able to find one of those. I have a candle with a crackle sound as well. Somebody sent me one. I haven't seen one around here. You do definitely have to get close. Where the TV, you can just turn the volume up really loud. We do. Of course you do. Bart says he has a whole fireplace list on YouTube. That does not surprise me. I really do believe that Mr. Bart, Tech, and my daughter Katie are on equal levels of kitschy Christmas joy and love. So, okay, let's go ahead. It's 5:00. We made it through the holidays. The conversation, we had some lulls, but that's part of the holidays. So I'm good with that. We're gonna pull. We had the Queen of Swords last week, so we're gonna go ahead and pull our card of the week with card of the week. I'm going to try to not throw the cards. Remember last week I threw the cards around. Art of Life Tarot Deck by Charlene Livingston. We have been doing this. This is Tarot Student's fault. Hashtag all her fault. We've been doing this for quite some time now, where we pull a card from the Art of Life tarot deck. Again, you don't have to have this tarot deck. I do think it's one of the underrated decks of the world. But you don't have to have this one. You can pull out the card that we draw and stick it up somewhere so that you can, I keep it up in this, but you can pick it from any deck and have that and sort of remind yourself for the week as well. So I did throw a bunch of these cards last week, which I did go back and collect. Let me get them right side up here because I don't do reversals. Okay. And start a new one. I know. I throw cards. I throw candles. I spill pop. I do all the things. I'm really tempted. I'm going to tell you what. I had, I know, I'm sorry. I'm going to sidetrack for a minute, but I'm actually really tempted to get a real Christmas tree. I had that, the whole bottom part of it was the middle part of my tree wouldn't light up. So I'm like clipping everything. I'm crying. Like it was very melodramatic, but I needed a good cry clearly. And so I got it all, I put a new strand on there. And yesterday I went to turn my Christmas tree on and the whole top half, it's just a little tree, but the top half now won't light up. And so I'm like, I'm just going to put it away. Then you get the anger phase and you're like, I'm just putting the Christmas tree away. I'm not having a Christmas tree this year. But then I'm like, I can't do that because Katie will be over on Christmas Day. I need to have a Christmas tree. And now I'm kind of leaning towards going out and trying to find a live Christmas tree for the first time. And since I was a kid, I might just do that. See if I can keep it alive and not have Christmas. But then it's like, do I really want to have a Christmas tree that's been cut down? I don't know. Anyways, I'm tempted. Okay. I'm sidetracking it here. Yes, I was crying. Yes, this is Tara. She really wanted me to pull a card from this deck. And so now it's become a thing. So now we do it every week. Okay. I did see some potted ones. That's a good idea, Bar. I did see some really, they were smaller size, but that's okay. Again, I have a small apartment. I did see some really pretty potted ones. So that's definitely an option as well, because then I can take it out into the woods in Michigan and plant it afterwards. Ooh, that's nice. The guy was like, don't do it. Go get clippings for decorating and put it on the top of the shelf, and it will smell like the Christmas tree without the hassle of the Christmas tree. I know. Al said the same thing about the pot. Yeah, I will have to look into that. I know I've seen those somewhere around here. Maybe that's what I'll do. Then I'll have the best of both worlds. We're talking about a real Christmas tree, Nina, whether I should go get a real cut Christmas tree for the first time. But then it's like, and then all the things start falling off and all that kind of stuff. And if you come to Michigan, I am right on the border of Michigan. I can walk to Michigan. I know the smell is wonderful, Becca. I agree. So yeah, I'm gonna think about some ways to incorporate that, because clearly my soul is being drawn. It's funny because my soul is being drawn to octopuses and live Christmas trees and the ocean. Those are very strange things to be focused on this year. Not octopus. I know octopus is not a word. It is octopi, but octopi always sounds so strange to me. And so I incorrectly call them octopuses. It is what it is, folks. But it's so interesting to be drawn to them and live Christmas trees and oceans. That's my current drawn to. Nikki's not gonna yell at me about that, apparently. Okay, let's see what our card of the week is. I don't know if any of my animal decks have an octopus in it. My spirit animals is over there. I'll have to go through my animal decks and see what ones have octopus. I'm flopping these around. Have octopus in them. Have an octopus in them would be the proper English. And you do sometimes yell at me when I say sorry, Miss Nikki. If I say sorry too much. What's Mr. Bart saying? It is proper form. Are you sure, Bart? I'm pretty sure it's octopi is multiple. Maybe I'm wrong. Anima Mundi tarot has an octopus in it, apparently. Yes, exactly. Only when I apologize. That is true. Yeah, I'll have to pull all mine out and see. Oh, is your cat a loud cat, Elrond, in the car? Neighborhood arts. I have 2 fake trees and buy clippings for decoration and scent, all in a very small space, and it's just me. And I also keep an old pan, which I send with mull. I do like to do the mulling spices too. Neighborhood arts. Okay, I'm gonna pull our card. Or I'll be sitting here shuffling, and then Nikki will calmly remind me, Kelly, stop shuffling and pull the card. What did we get? The devil. Okay, this makes sense here. Okay, this to me makes sense after a topic on holidays. So let's see what the quote is. The quote is, a man should never be ashamed to own that he has been in the wrong, which is but saying that he is wiser today than yesterday. So when you can own the fact that you've done something wrong and own up to it, it's showing that you've grown, right? So I quite like that. But the devil card in general for the holidays, I actually think is a really fantastic card. And I know we're not in the holidays yet, but we're going full in December next week. And I think it's really powerful. For me, everybody reads cards differently, but I read the devil card as abdication of power and of responsibility, right? So the idea is the devil made me do it. I'm blaming somebody else for my own problems, or I'm expecting somebody else to make me feel better than it's when it's not their job, right? So as much as we don't want people saying all the stupid things they say to us to try to encourage us and make us better, the fact of the matter is it's also our happiness is our responsibility. It's not the responsibility at family at holiday to heal your wounds or make you feel better. I'm the only person that's responsible for my happiness and for my sense of well-being, and I have to do the work to do so. So I can't abdicate that over to somebody else by expecting that from somebody. The other thing is we often do give up our power at the holidays, don't we? Where we're just like, we don't want to fight it. We don't want to, we just give, it's just easier to just give it over. And so we end up, doing things at the holidays that we don't want to do. We go to 12 different places on the same day and we're running around like a crazy person versus saying, you know what, everybody, there's too many places for me to go today and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to go to this one, or I'm not going to go to any of them. And this is what I'm going to do. And you don't have to be mean about it, but this is what I'm doing for the holidays. I wish you, everybody else in the family, a wonderful holiday with what you're doing, but this is what I'm doing. This is what makes me happy. And, this is what I'm going to be doing here. And it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with me claiming these holidays that are going to work better for myself. So you really do have to, but complaining about, oh my gosh, I hate the holidays. I got to run here. I got to run there. I got to cook all of this. I'm saying yes to this and yes to that. Yes to this cookie exchange. Yes to this gift exchange over here. Yes to this over here. Yes to this over here, until you're overwhelmed and despising the holidays versus saying, nope, I am responsible to take my own power back, responsibility for my own choices back. And those choices include saying yes, saying no sometimes, or saying my thing. I have a hard time saying no. I'm not anymore, but I did most of my life. And learning just to say, you know what, I'll get back to you on that. It gave me a chance to step away from that immediacy of somebody asking me, which made me want to just say yes. I would say, I will get back to you on that. I'm going to check my schedule and what I'm, need to be doing, and I'll come back to you. And then I had a much easier time saying, you know what, that's actually not going to work with my schedule, or, you know what, I've already kind of got myself overbooked. And so, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. But that giving myself the space from that immediately saying no or yes really helped me to be able to then navigate to the no. So yeah, But this isn't just about somebody else taking your power, right? This is also about abdicating responsibility. It's not somebody else's responsibility to navigate your schedule or to navigate your things that you keep saying yes over, or that you keep giving things over to. So the devil's about you taking responsibility for your own choices and you keeping your power in your own hands. And so I think this is actually a really good card going into the holiday season, so that you can figure out what's going to work for you for the holidays, and then stick to your guns. This is what I'm going to do. It doesn't have to be about, no, I don't want to do it because you're a horrible person or you exhaust me or anything. It's just, you know what? This is what I'm doing for the holidays. I wish you the most wonderful holiday. Kill them with kindness, right? I wish you the most wonderful holidays. This is what I'll be doing. And I'm going to hope that you're having a wonderful holiday while you're doing that, whatever. Anyways, I think that's an excellent card for this coming season. Exercise, saying yes when you want to say yes, and saying no when you need to say no, and not putting the expectation of happiness or the holidays onto somebody else to make yours wonderful, because you're the only person responsible for your own well-being. Now, obviously, you may have other people that are around you somewhat responsible for your well-being, but in the end, you're responsible for your own happiness. That's a good point as well, Nikki. You don't have to have an explanation. It can just be, no, I'm not doing that this year. Have a happy holidays. I'm really good at the just smile and say something happy to them, and it's kind of hard for them to react funny. There's a tiger behind Kelly. Oh, this just came in the mail today. I have done a walkthrough of it. I have mixed feelings about it, but as a 100-card animal oracle deck, and it was free shipping in the US, I couldn't pass it up. Mostly I like it. I guess in a nutshell, I think it just should have been a 100-card oracle deck and it would have been perfect. I really like the guidebook animal part. I don't particularly like the tarot keywords on the tarot cards. I wish they were just all the animal keywords, but I'm still happy that I have it because it is a 100-card deck and there's expansions. I didn't get in on any expansions because I got it before it was printed, but it was after the Kickstarter. So I didn't get any of the extra sets, but I will definitely purchase the extra sets when they come out, because I just want the bigger the better animal deck. I don't regret my purchase whatsoever. And I love the guidebook. I love the look of the cards. I just find, this is not just to do with this deck. I think I've come to a conclusion for myself that animal decks don't need to be tarot decks. They don't need to kind of squeeze into the system of tarot. Like, tarot is a system. And I think for me, in the way that I use animal energy, they just need to be oracle decks. I haven't found too many tarot animal decks that I was like, yes, like that's just amazing. I have some I like. I do have the Naked Heart Tarot, which I enjoy. The Wild Unknown has lots of animals in it, which I enjoy. The Animal Totem is my favorite one's probably the Paulina Cassidy. I think she does the best job at marrying animal oracle with tarot, and the keywords just really working beautifully together. That's probably my favorite. Spirit Song. Thank you, Elron. That's probably my favorite tarot animal deck in terms of melding animal energy with tarot and having keywords that make sense for both of them. It's probably my favorite. But I'll put the walkthrough up. I did a first impressions. I haven't edited or anything like that. I do think that the guidebook portion where she talks about the animal energy is really fantastic. So I'm just going to use it as a big animal oracle deck is what and I knew that going into it. I really waffled about getting it because I know how I am about animal tarot decks. And so I knew that going in, and my intention going in was just to use it as a beautiful animal deck. And it is beautiful. And again, I have zero regrets. I just it would have been perfect to me if it was just all Oracle cards. Cardstock is okay. It's not anything you're going to be like hoorah about. It's kind of like but it makes it manageable to have 100 cards. And the price point for 100 cards, I mean, you've got to have expectations here. But it's really beautiful. What I really liked, and this is why I purchased it, is because even though this is a tarot deck, it keeps the name of the animal as the main title, and then it just has the tarot card underneath it. And so it's kind of like, I don't have to focus on that. That's like an extra association, but I don't have to use it if I don't want to use it. And so that's why I ended up purchasing it, is because, yeah, there's 78 tarot plus there's 22 extra Oracle decks. Let me see. Like this one is an Oracle card. So this doesn't have a tarot association to it, but it's still, and then there's like 3 other expansions that they got at Kickstarter, but she did say would eventually be able to purchase them. It's self-published by Bernadette King. The art is by Heidi Sutherland. So it's a self-published deck. In the US, I want to say it was $44, and the shipping was free. But for me, it's just, okay, there's 100. My biggest one right now is Colette Baron Reed's Spirit Animals, or Spirit of the Animals. I get them mixed up. That has 65 cards in it. And so this is 100 cards, and there are expansions to make even more. So eventually it could be like 120, 130 animals to draw from. So I really like that. When I drew not a fake, but I just pulled a Wheel of the Year on the walkthrough, I got octopus. I'm telling you, this is my new stalker at the moment. But I'm not always a fan, again, and I might have to redo the walkthrough because I don't really want to say it like so many times. But I just don't often find sometimes with tarot and animal connections, it feels more forced. And it's not forced to the tarot. It's that the animal loses something in the trying to fit it into the tarot. And I'd rather just like sit with the energy of the animal and just not care about the tarot. So that's more my issue there. The backs are like this. But I love, again, all of the animals, and I love all the expansions and all that. I use animal decks a lot. So I actually have, so for my year aheads, so I do a year ahead reading for myself, which is a card a month and a card of the year. But then for my Wheel of the Year, I pull 8 animal cards. And that has been the most supportive for me ever. I've so enjoyed that this past year. And so having 100 cards to pull from means more opportunity for different kinds of animals to show up for the year, which excites me. Are the animals random or more? Yeah, I did the walkthrough. I just have to edit it. So, I've got 3 things to edit. Including Mr. Elrond's Spirit Doodles and the Muses. So I just have to set aside a day for editing. It's the holiday season. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, let me put this back. I don't know why I'm talking about. I think somebody mentioned it. I feel like somebody mentioned it, and that's what got me sidetracked. So I'm blaming whoever mentioned it on us being sidetracked. Bye, Miss Nina. Scorpio says, what is the best tarot cards that I own? Ooh, people who know me know I have a really hard time with that question because it's like the best for this or the best for that. My current favorite, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I've got stuff popping up. I pushed something on my keyboard. So I don't do a really good job with best. It's best for this. My favorite current tarot deck is probably the Majestic Earth Tarot. I'm just absolutely loving it. But I'm also really loving the Forest of Enchantment. Something is wrong here. I think I have this not laying the right way. There we go. I'm really loving the Forest of Enchantment Tarot as well for other reasons. But that's my favorite one at the moment. Yes, that is coming. It's done. I just need to edit it. Miss Tarot student. I'm good with the Animal Wisdom Tarot, although I'm going to reback it since the cards are thin. Which one is the Animal Wisdom Tarot? Is that, no, Spirit Song is my favorite. A lot of people don't seem to like Spirit. Oh, Animal Wisdom is great. What I love about the Animal Wisdom, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back up and I know Nina's already gone. But what I like about the Animal Wisdom is that there's a little things in the guidebook that I really, and I can't remember what it is. I don't have it out to look at it. I don't know if it's like a message from the animal or something like that I have found to be really, really sweet with that deck. So I do like that. Okay, thank you, Al. Somebody asked about the Hidden Realms Tarot and whether that is, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is my thought on decks for beginners. I think there's a two-part question to that. And this is how I always answer it. And I know it's annoying. I actually think somebody who's new to tarot entirely should have 3 decks, which is, I know, terrible because, obviously I should not instigate people buying 3 decks when they're starting to learn. But I actually do recommend people have 3 or at least 2 decks. So I think that they need to have a pip deck, whatever that might be. Pip deck is a deck that has non-illustrated minors. So a beautiful pip deck that they enjoy to look at. I think they should have a deck that is somewhat based on the Rider-Waite-Smith, so that there is, because a lot of the books and a lot of the decks that they're going to get further down the road are going to be related to the Rider-Waite-Smith. So I think having some deck that at least is somewhat in alignment with that is going to help them for longevity of picking up other decks down the road and being able to pick them up and learn them. If you learn off of a deck that is no correlation to many of the decks out there, it makes it a little bit harder to just then pick up the next deck or the next deck that is really going to be very loosely sometimes or very tightly based on the Rider-Waite-Smith. So I think having those 2 decks, I think is great. And then have Tarot Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, because Rachel Pollack and Tarot Wisdom, it shows you a lot of different deck types for each of the cards. So it has, it has Marseille style decks in it. It has more modern decks. It has a Rider-Waite-Smith images in it. So it has sort of a blend of the two, or of all the different systems, so you can relate to them. And so I think having some version of Rider-Waite-Smith, a pip deck, and then maybe a deck that you just love for no other reason that it speaks to your soul. Now, the true answer is, so that's my recommendation, to have, so for example, if I was to do that, that would be the Smith-Waite. So I like the Centennial version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. I don't read with this deck. I don't particularly love the artwork. Sorry, folks. It's not that I'm against her illustrations. I like her book illustrations. It's just not my favorite deck. But I think having one for learning is smart. And so for me, it's a centennial version and this particular Bordersel edition. I love this. For if I was going to pick only one pip deck, it would be the Ancient Italian Tarot, which is a easy to get low scarabeo deck. And so then I have my pip deck and I have my Rider-Waite Smith deck. And then I would have a deck that I absolutely love just because it feeds my soul. Now that could change depending on the person, depending on when they buy it. Again, for me right now, it would probably be the Majestic Earth or the Way Home Tarot. I'm really loving the Way Home Tarot. I'm really loving the Majestic Earth. But if I just did something in general, it could even be the Darkness of Light or the Margaret Peterson. There's a bazillion it could be, right? And so that to me is a really great way to go into tarot learning. So when you take a tarot class from me, I do one of the things that we do look at, and I recommend having, I don't require, you're all adults, but is to have a pip deck and a Rider-Waite Smith version of some type. And it may be the Darkness of Light as your Rider-Waite Smith. So this, I know I'm way off the path, you think, of talking about the Tarot of the Hidden Realms. Oops, my Tarot of the Hidden Realms is not in here. What? It must be over. Where's my Tarot of the Hidden Realms? Oh, I put it in a bag. Okay. Where did I put it? Oh, Miss Anna Teresa had gotten me a bag, given me a gift bag or a tarot bag. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's perfect for Tarot of the Hidden Realms. And then, I stuck it somewhere. Oh no, this must be over by my table. All right, sorry folks, I can't show it to you. Tarot of the Hidden Realms is one of those that I think kind of goes off on its own. That's going to drive me crazy now. I've got to find it. Anyways, it's normally in this box. That's why I reached for it. And I was like, wait, that's way too light. It's in a tarot bag somewhere. Anyways, Tarot of the Hidden Realms is a little bit too, one of the things it does beautifully is it doesn't really follow in terms of the way that the imagery is exactly the Rider-Waite Smith, which is why I love it, right? But if you were to look at a book that was talking about Rider-Waite Smith, it might be like, I don't really understand what they're saying here. It doesn't really relate to this image. So can Tarot of the Hidden Realms be a first deck? Yes, because probably the truest statement is any deck that makes you pick up your cards and put them on the table is a good beginner deck. People learn from all kinds of decks as their first deck. My first deck was the Llewellyn Tarot, which does kind of follow the Rider-Waite. I would say it's a Rider-Waite Smith, but it changes some of the names of the majors. I think any deck that has you putting cards on the table is a good first deck. But the caveat with having a pip and a Rider-Waite Smith is if you're really wanting to dive into learning and really kind of getting a solid base of the systems under your feet, that's why I would recommend having a pip deck and having a Rider-Waite Smith deck, potentially having a Thoth deck, which I have as well, although I know that everybody's going to go that route. But in the end, if you can only get one deck, then get the deck that just speaks to you, and you will learn and you will find your way forward with that one deck that speaks to you and gets, because the deck that has you putting cards on the table is the deck that you're going to learn from. If it is sitting on your shelf because it doesn't inspire you, you don't like the art, you don't like something about it, it doesn't really speak to you, it's sitting on a shelf and you're not learning. So any deck that gets you putting the cards on the table is a good beginner deck. And now I'm going to get off of my soapbox. I just received the Tarocchi Fina della Torre is gorgeous. That one has you'll have to look at my friend Patrick got me that for my birthday because he says the Justice card is me. Looks like a version of me when I was younger, like it was me in a past life or something. um, I do actually think the Druidcraft is really good for beginners. And the reason for I would say that for that one is number one, you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery in it. And also it has a very good guidebook. And so I think for people who want to lean more towards pagan framework rather than Christian, because let's be clear, the original tarot deck came out of France and Italy, a Roman Catholic France and Italy. So a lot of the major arcanas are from that worldview. So you have the devil, you have the Hierophant, you have Judgment Day for the judgment seat of Christ, you have the Garden of Eden, very often imagery in the Lover's card. And so if you want to step out of that and into more and kind of step away from that and into more of that earth centered or pagan centered, then I think that the Druidcraft is actually really good for that, and it has a fantastic guidebook. So I do actually recommend the Druidcraft as a great first deck. Rebecca, it's Ashley Ashhart, birthday today. Happy birthday. There's somebody else's birthday too. This is for both of you. Whoever, I can't remember who it was. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear everybody whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. I just pulled out the card. I don't think you can see it. Well, I don't think you can see it so much now. But if you look at some of my older pictures when I was younger, it does look like it could be my past self. Shy Witch. My main deck is a Green Witch Tarot. That's a good deck. That's a beautiful deck. My only issue with the Green Witch Tarot is I felt like some of the world was a little bit too perfect. So like the Four of Swords, I'm like, I'm not sure what you're getting a rest from because I don't know that there's really any battle there. But it's beautifully, I love the artist. I follow her YouTube channel because I think she is a really fantastic, she's a fantastic artist. Kelly, which tarot deck would you use with my Lenormand? I do want to do a video on that because people ask me that all of the time. I love to use my Lenormand deck with the Japardia Tarot. I love to use it with, right now, I've been using it a lot with the Light Seers Tarot. It looks amazing with the Light Seers. They both have the intense colors there, and they look beautiful together. I enjoy things that look good together. So I use it a lot with the Spirit Light Seers Tarot. I like it a lot with the Way Home Tarot. So I've been using that with the Way Home Tarot. I also, if you have the Ostara Tarot, I don't have that out right now. It's put away. But I used it quite a bit for, I do an expanded Get There reading. So it's a Get There reading with Lenormand cards. And then I pull tarot cards as well. And I did a lot with the Ostara in my deck. Yeah, I believe there's a new edition coming out for the Japardia Tarot. Yeah, don't buy it for a ridiculous price. I've heard for sure that it's coming back into print. Al, that is the same artist. Yeah, she did the Muse Tarot, and it's out on Hay House. I know there's been some printing issues with it. I don't know. I have the original version of it, but it looks amazing with that deck for sure. So those are ones that I'm mostly right now using the Way Home Tarot and the Light Seers Tarot, but I have really enjoyed using the Japardia Tarot. And then I did a lot with the Ostara. The colors look really good with the Ostara as well. Those are the ones that jump out at me that I probably use the most. Oh, I do also use it sometimes with the Children of Litha. I do, again, that intense color palette is there. And so I do use it with that. But those are the main ones I would say that I use tarot with tarot. Okay, so I answered that question. Can I play on your fab keyboard and sing? I haven't tried to play Happy Birthday. I'm pretty sure I could work out a simple version of it. Yes, Mr. Elrond. Okay, scrolling up. Christina, which deck? I think when you asked that question, we were talking about the Druidcraft Tarot, I believe. I am not going to keep scrolling up because I'll lose it. If I missed a question that you asked, please feel free to say it again, and I will try to answer it. Am I able to riffle shuffle the Light Seers Tarot? Yes. It's not. It's one of those things. It reminds me of the first edition of the Wild Unknown, which is never my favorite to riffle shuffle. Again, I think these gorgeous thick cardstocks are amazing, but they aren't always. If you're a riffle shuffler, if you're not, it doesn't matter. If you're a riffle shuffler, it does matter, and they're not actually that wonderful to have. But usually, if you work with them and and I have used it quite a bit, they start to break in and they shuffle better. They shuffle better. I don't find I'm having much of a problem shuffling it. I am going to get because I do want to get the Hay House version for my daughter because I think it's a deck she would actually really like. So I'll be able to compare the card stock. But I'm waiting for them to solve the problems of their card. I'm disappointed, to be honest, even though it doesn't matter to me because obviously I have the indie version, but I'm disappointed because I assumed it was going to be, Hay House makes beautiful, this is a Hay House, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, this is a Hay House deck. This is Angels and Ancestors. And this is wonderful cardstock. It's like a matte, beautiful, wonderful riffle shuffles. I have riffle shuffled the heck out of this deck. It's in great condition. I love this. Or like the Mystical Shaman is gorgeous Hay House cardstock. So I really don't know why it wasn't put out with this beautiful cardstock. It's kind of beyond me. I'm kind of like, obviously it must cost more money to do this great cardstock, but I think most people would have paid, and this deck was only $18.99 US, and I didn't pay that. I think I paid $15 for it. So I was disappointed to hear that because I really did know I wanted to get one for my daughter. And so I just assumed it would be in that cardstock. So I'm kind of waiting till they sort it out before I do that. Spirit Animal Oracle by CBR's Hay House as well, and it's beautiful cardstock. Again, yeah, I think that's where, people are like, why are people talking about it so much? I think it's because we know that they can make really good cardstock, right? We know they've put out quite a few decks with beautiful, with beautiful matte cardstock for the price point. And so I think because we know that they can do it, it's kind of frustrating to have it come out and not be, not have used a nice cardstock from it. Yeah, and I'm not super picky, although some of the things I've seen has been weird because it's been like every other card has been a different printing on the back. Like it's been mixed up, but then some people have gotten really good versions. So I think they just had a bad batch is my guess too, so I don't care super much about it as long as it shuffles well. I've never had really a big problem with any Hay House deck. And so I'm assuming they just had a bad batch because some people are saying they got a matte one and some people are saying they got a glossy one. So it's too funny. These things happen. It probably was pushed out too fast is my guess. They wanted to probably get it out for Christmas. It's just, I don't know. I'm just guessing that. But I am definitely, going to pick it up because I want it for my daughters. What do you think about the Modern Spellcasters here? The book is good, but you feel the energy in these cards. That's not one that I have. that swaps the suits. I believe that has the swords as air, or I'm sorry, the wands as air and the swords as fire, which is a way in which some people do see the suits. I believe it came out of Wicca, I think is where the predominantly where that was from, but don't quote me on that. So that's not the way that I actually read the suit. So it's never been one that I paid a lot of attention to. And there was another card in there that didn't sit really well with me. I don't know if it was the Hanged Man was in sort of a box that looks like one of the boxes that they used to use for witches, where they would, it would be like a nail coffin where there were spikes in it and they would, shut them in it. And I didn't feel like that was really going to provide a new, and I don't know that that's what it was, but that's what it looks like. So it just never, it never really spoke to me to get. I've heard a lot of people that really enjoy it. And so, but I don't know anything. I don't have it. So it's not a deck that I've used. Raven Song says, no, it's not part of the Wicca that maybe it was the old Wicca, maybe whoever, there's some connection with the suits. I'm not, I'll find it out. I knew it at one point and now I'm losing it. Neighborhood Art says, how is the guidebook for the Majestic Earth Tarot? It's not like anything, it's good. I guess I haven't used it too much, to be honest, because the deck just reads beautifully and it has any of the basic keywords like on the front, just they're inobtrusive. So I will, in all fairness, I haven't used the guidebook a ton because it's just a beautiful deck that reads beautifully and it kind of has everything you need on the cards itself. So I haven't used the guidebook a lot. What I have read is nice. It zeroes you in where you need to zero in. But it's not like one of those guidebooks that I'm like, oh my gosh, like the guidebook just is key and central to it at all. It's a good guidebook. I guess that's the best I can say. Nikki added Carson. I saw you did that on Instagram. I don't have the new card on that deck. I just use the original one because it's one of the reasons I love the deck. But that's funny. The cards for Augenblick read so well too, but the guidebook was just an incredible read. I do, you know what? I'm gonna be honest and say I do. Oh no, that's over here. I just did a pull from that. I don't, yeah, I can, we know, confession here. By Anna, I do read guidebooks. So there was a whole thing of that, coming up, I think on one of the groups, and, I don't read guidebooks a lot. I always read them, but there aren't a lot that I refer back to. And it's not that I don't have or disrespect the creators. I enjoy reading them. I really enjoy reading guidebooks that reference the cards, their artwork, and why they chose certain things. If it's just sort of a reiteration of the actual, like just the general meetings, I just don't tend to go back to them. But it's not because I have anything wrong or anything to do with the creators. It's just the fact that I do, over years, I have a specific way that I read tarot. And so for me, a tarot deck that I buy is a tool for me to read with the way that I read. And so there are some decks that really wow me when I read it through that time. And I do go back to it over and over again. But a lot of times I just want to experience the deck. And then sometimes later, after I've used it for quite a while, I'll go back to the deck the guidebook. But a lot of times I just want to get in and read with it and say, does this really work with the way that I read? How do I feel about reading with this? And that tends to come first to me. And then other people, like my friend Patrick, loves guidebooks. He'll get decks just to read the guidebook and then end up passing it on just because he wanted to experience the guidebook. So, everybody's different in how they approach these things. So I feel like I'm a bad person to ask about those types of things. But that I would agree. Elron says he thinks the Devas of Creation deck is impossible without the guidebook. I don't think it's impossible. Like, you could read it completely intuitively, but you would miss, because there's no title, there's no keywords on it, there's nothing. So yes, I agree with that one. It would just be a completely intuitive experience, which is certainly okay. But at the same time, you're probably, you're missing out on some of the depth that's there for sure. That's why I do always try to read the guidebook through once before, and then go about my business, just to get a feel for where the creator's coming from. But, what are you going to do? Green OTM says, hello, any recommendations for a Native American shamanic deck? That's a hard one. I don't have any recommendations. The only Native American are we talking about tarot deck? Are we talking about tarot deck or oracle deck? The only Native American tarot deck that I have is a Vision Quest. And I haven't used this enough. I've used it some for my own personal kind of tapping into the stories of my land and some of my ancestry. And it has some really beautiful cards. Whether or not it is a good Native American deck, I'm not sure, because I am not, while I have a Native American ancestry on my mom's side, it is a very small portion, and it's not anything that I was raised in. And so I'm not an expert to be able to say whether something is a good, I think that it's a hard one to find that is perhaps made by people who really are in that. And the other thing is that Native American is a big word, and not all Native American tribes had the same stories or the same culture, right? They were various tribes having different stories and different cultures, and a Native American tribe from the South is going to look really different from a Northern or a Western Native American. So I think it's one of those things that are really difficult to be able to find a good one to recommend for that, that we know, that is created by somebody who knows the culture really well, that is, and again, that may be more specific to a specific tribe. So I'm not a good one to give a recommendation for that, unfortunately. If anybody else has some recommendations, that would be great. Biffy, I'm excited. Also hoping to do some classes with Kelly. Aw, thank you, Biffy. I actually sat down and got all of the classes scheduled for the year. I just have to put it up in a table format, and I will be putting it up on my website. And if you're on my mailing list, I'll be sending it out in that format, just so everybody knows what it's going to be all for the full year and can kind of plan for that. I've always wanted to do it. It took me 6 or 7 tries to try to get everything to fit right. But I finally did it, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it. So watch for that, because that would have all of my classes for the year. And relatively, I'm going to put a caveat that scheduling for a year is there can be shifts and changes, but that at least it gives you a general idea. Oh yeah, that's a good. Thank you, Elron. That's not just Native American. I think you're talking about the ancestral path. Hello, Tom And hello, Jezebel, you are late. We're probably going to be wrapping up pretty quickly. But this has a Japanese, Native American, like English, European, or Anglo-Saxon, and I'm totally blank, Egyptian. So each of the suits is, each suit has a different culture that it comes from. So the whole thing is not Native American or indigenous tribal based, but it is from four different cultures that it has there. So I don't know that would necessarily work for that person. How about the medicine cards from Jamie Sams and David Carson? I don't know. Yeah, for Oracle, I don't know who this is by. This is Barbara Michael John Free, but this is less about a specific culture. This is the shamanic medicine cards. That is something that I love this deck. And one of the reasons I do like it is it doesn't really purport to be from one particular tribe or culture, because I think that's where it gets difficult, right? Because there are so many different Native American tribes, and they all have different stories and different beliefs. And so to amalgamize them into one, I think, can be difficult. But to have something that's just generally shamanic, I do have a maybe that would help. I do have a video that is like shamanic cards, a shamanic style tarot and oracle cards. That might give you some ideas in that one, perhaps. Maybe that would give you, it would give you an idea of what I've used, what I've thought about them, what I use all the time, what I don't use all the time. So maybe that would be something that's helpful. I'll pull 3 cards from this because we need to pull cards anyways. I also love, for just sort of, the Crow Tarot is nice because it's just neutral tone. It's just crows. But it has it's Rider-Waite-Smith based, but not so much that it boxes you into it. I absolutely love that tarot deck. But anyways, that might, yeah, that's the problem, tarot student. But it's really hard to find. Thank you, Miss Nikki, for that link, because that might help rather than me trying to go over all the ones I can think of. So here we have the medicine shield for protection. Next, we have the medicine bag for our treasures. Protect your treasures. And lastly, we have the cave of going in and retreating. So this is interesting because we're obviously the hour before this hour that we're wrapping up. Yes, Jezebel. With you on the Weaver's Oracle, although it is definitely feminine based. There is masculine and feminine energy in it 100 times fold, but 100 times fold, 100 fold. But visually, obviously, it is all females being depicted. What I like about this is that the first hour, so if you're just coming in or if you haven't been here for the whole time, our first hour we were talking about holidays, which kind of descended in a talk of how difficult holidays can be, which ended in us pulling the Devil card for our card of the week. And we talked about a lot how we have to take responsibility for our own self and our own boundaries, and for making choices, saying yes and no when we need to take care of ourselves, and not putting our expectations of making us happy on other people. We talked about a lot of things, right? And so I like this idea of protection coming up, because I think going into the crazy holiday times, having your own protections up are important. Protecting what's important to you. If it's important to you to have quiet time at the holidays and 50,000 people are pulling at your time, making sure that you're taking the work to or the proactive measures of protecting what is important to you over the holidays. And if that means saying no to a lot of people and saying yes only to the things that are important to you, then that's what it takes. That's up to you to make have that protection in place for the things that are important to you, to the things that you treasure about this time of the year. And that might look like this for a lot of us, right? And I think no matter what in the coming month, right? Again, we talked about this for an hour, so I don't want to reiterate it all. It can get a little crazy for a lot of different reasons. And so knowing when to step back and retreat and have a space with your Netflix fireplace on and some spiked cocoa and just relaxing, like knowing when to retreat is really important, because then it sometimes does allow you to do some of those crazy things like diving into holiday things with family that you really do want to experience, but it's just difficult. Knowing when to step back into the cave lets you then re-energize to be able to go out forward. So I think that is that. That's where we're going to go with that. These smell really interesting. Not at a bad smell, but I can smell them. Denise Lynn has, it's over there because it's the one I'm using all the time. I love her. Is it over there? I don't see it. A lot of my cards are over there because they're ones that I'm using. Oh, no, here it is. I love this deck. This is one of my sleeper decks for the year. This is Denise Lynn's Sacred Destiny Oracle cards. And this is about stepping into landscapes, which I think is really beautiful. It doesn't seem like it is like a shamanic deck, whatever that might mean to you, but it does talk about gateways into other landscapes, which is a very this idea of journeying and entering different landscapes. But this deck, I am so in love with this deck. It's just been, ever since I've got it, I haven't stopped using it, and I've really enjoyed it. I think Hay House, I think somebody said that already, that Hay House has their 50% off sale. See, again, this is really nice cardstock. Why? Anyways, I may get another one just to trim it. But somehow I still like the borders on here, because you can, it's almost like you're stepping into this. You're looking through a window at this landscape or a doorway. And so stepping into that, there's a factor of these borders that really work for me, because you do feel like, okay, I'm going to step into this particular landscape. My only downside of this deck is each card is connected with a landscape. And I really wish that had, instead of the keyword, I really wish it had just said the landscape that it's connected to, which is why my thinking is I may just trim all the borders off of it and step into those landscapes myself. But I've loved this deck. I really didn't think I would necessarily, but I absolutely, I really love this deck. It's one of those ones I didn't expect to love so much, and I just kind of picked it up on a whim at Barnes & Noble's with a coupon, and I ended up, it's been one I've used a lot, both for myself and for clients. So, okay, folks, I think we have wrapped up our talk of the holidays and our rambling talks of decks and deck questions. And, I did not know she had a Native American deck. I do know she is, I believe, and I probably missed it. Somebody already probably said it. I believe she is actually Native American, which it's hard to find decks that. I didn't know that she had one, to be honest. Sorry, I was getting ready to say goodbye, but now I got to at least Google it so I have it. Oh, the Native Spirit. You know, I've seen that before. And I've not really ever looked at it closely. So I love this one so much that I'm going to have to definitely give that one a try. Okay, now I can't find you guys again. This new setup here. I do like the Moonology deck. Although I think I like the Queen of the Moon deck better. Between the two, between the Moonology and the Queen of the Moon, I like the Queen of the Moon one better. We do chatter a lot. I have not seen the Button Soup Tarot. I like the name of the tarot there. Yeah, I just found it. Oh, Captain Nolan said, hello, Captain Nolan. I saw you earlier, but I was in the middle of speaking, and so I couldn't really resonate. Happy holidays to you, sir. I've missed you. Spirit Traveler. Oh, it's called Sacred Traveler. Okay, I'm going to Google search that just so I have a tab for it. Okay, so I've got that tab. I've got both those linked. Do I like cats? I not particularly. I don't dislike them. I've always had cats. I don't like cats in a tiny apartment, so I don't have a cat right now. And I like cats, but I'm not like a cat person. My daughter is a cat person, whereas I am, and I don't even consider myself a dog person. I just love Isabel, so I'm not like a cat Elron's a cat person. My daughter is a cat person, but I am I'm not particularly so. I like them and I've had them. Button Soup has 40 different see, I'm not generally, I'll have to look at it for is it Fabala? I generally don't like, other than for collecting, I don't generally like decks that have a ton of different artists. I don't find them to be cohesive for readings. I think they're really cool to look at for art, but I don't find them as I don't find them to be as cohesive for just doing readings. But that's just me. I know some people absolutely love them, so that's just me. Okay, I think I've hit everything. I'm gonna go. I was going, and then I was like, I saw Terry. She was like, "Oh, she has a native spirit one." So I'm like, I'm loving this one so much. I need to just give it a try while Hay House is having their sale. So thank you for the suggestion. It was really good to talk to you all, and I will see you guys all next week. I hope if you're in the US and you're having a Thanksgiving weekend with family and friends, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. The rest of you just have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week. So take care of yourselves. I'm going to end the stream and talk to you later. And now I got to